The single most valuable thing a veteran can do before hip replacement surgery is file a VA claim. Most skip that step entirely and leave thousands of dollars in temporary benefits sitting on the table uncollected. Today, we are covering Diagnostic Code 5054 and the one-year window it creates.
Last episode, we covered the knee replacement code DC 5055. Today we go one joint higher with DC 5054 for hip replacement, and the pattern is nearly identical. The temporary 100% rating starts on the actual date of surgery, not the date the VA finishes processing the paperwork.
To put a hard dollar figure on it, the 2026 monthly rate for a veteran with no dependents at 100% is $3,938.58 per month. A veteran who files after surgery instead of before can easily lose 3 to 6 months of that rate before the claim processes.
And Lewis, the floor after that year is 30% guaranteed. No matter how clean the surgery goes and no matter what the C&P examiner finds, the minimum residual rating under DC 5054 is 30%. The VA cannot drop below that threshold after a total hip replacement. That 30% floor is guaranteed by the regulation itself. Veterans with more severe residuals can rate much higher, and we will walk through exactly what drives those higher tiers in the next scene. Before we open the topic, a fast round of intros.
T. Ajan here. Ethics is not a bolt-on. Today, I will treat it as core.
Lewis here. I came to place today's debate in last decade's mirror.
Nova here. I came to surface the quiet correlation nobody plotted. Good to have everyone. Here we go.
Taste. After the one-year temporary period, the residual rating is determined by what the veteran actually experiences. Pain on weight bearing, weakness in the hip flexors or abductors, and limitation of motion in flexion and extension each feed into a different part of the rating calculation.
On the motion side, limitation of flexion and extension has specific degree thresholds that correspond to rating levels. Limitation of motion alone can push a veteran above the 30% floor into higher tiers. The key is that those motion measurements need to be captured accurately during the C&P exam.
Argin, the 60% tier and above, is typically reached through marked weakness in the affected hip. Veterans who cannot walk without significant assistive devices and show substantial muscle atrophy in the gluteal group have a clinical picture that supports a rating well above the 30% floor. The 12-month C&P exam locks in the residual tier. Veterans should document every symptom in their clinical records before that appointment. Hip pain at rest, pain on stairs, and weakness when rising from a chair all need to appear in the notes alongside any altered gait observations.
What surprises most veterans is that a hip replacement does not have to trace directly back to a service incident. Under 38 CFR 3.310, any condition caused or aggravated by an already service-connected disability is itself service-connected. The hip becomes a secondary condition downstream from whatever primary condition changed the veteran's gait.
The most common chain is knee to hip. A veteran with a service-connected knee condition spends years walking with a compensatory gait, loading the hip at an abnormal angle. That chronic mechanical overload accelerates the degeneration that eventually leads to the replacement. The knee was the original service connection. The hip is the secondary.
Nova, the back-to-hip chain is equally common and equally underused. Veterans with service-connected lumbar conditions often develop an antalgic limping posture to avoid spinal pain, overloading one hip disproportionately over many years. Turns out, the VA rater rarely volunteers this connection. W. The veteran has to document and claim it.
The nexus letter is the critical document here. A treating orthopedic surgeon or physiatrist can write a letter stating that the altered gait from the primary service-connected condition, whether knee or back, caused the biomechanical stress that led to the hip degeneration requiring replacement. That letter is what connects the primary service connection to the secondary hip claim. Here is where the chain extends past the surgery itself. After one hip is replaced, the veteran often shifts weight to the opposite side to protect the surgical hip during recovery. That compensatory loading accelerates degeneration in the opposite hip, the same way the primary condition did to the first one. The contralateral hip is not automatically rated just because the primary hip is service-connected. Veterans need to file a separate secondary service connection claim for the opposite hip, citing the altered mechanics from the primary condition. Wait until you see how many veterans with bilateral hip damage collect only half of what they have earned.
Lewis, once both host-based intrusion prevention system are service-connected and rated, the bilateral factor kicks in under 38 CF R4.68. Tupacy. The VA adds 10% to the combined bilateral rating value before rounding to the final number. On combined ratings in the 40 to 60% range, that bilateral factor can meaningfully close the gap toward the next rating tier.
Nova. This is exactly the kind of multi-claim coordination where a VSO or an accredited claims agent earns their value. Navigating three interconnected claims simultaneously is genuinely complex. The primary hip, the secondary contralateral hip, and the bilateral factor calculation all interact. Bring someone in who has done it before.
The most important pre-surgery action is filing an intent to file on va.gov or through a VSO before the surgery date. An intent to file preserves the effective date for up to 12 months, while the veteran gathers evidence and submits the full claim. TALIP. That effective date is the difference between paying the veteran from the surgery date versus months later.
John. The evidence package needs 4 components. Gather the operative report and the pre-operative orthopedic notes. Add the service treatment records that establish the in-service condition, plus a nexus letter when claiming secondary service connection through altered gate mechanics.
Lewis, after the C&P exam at the 12-month mark, the veteran should immediately request a copy of the examination report. Jockeys. Read every line. If the examiner's opinion does not accurately reflect what the veteran reported, or if the residual symptoms are understated, that is, the moment to submit a rebuttal with a private medical opinion before the rating decision is issued. If you forget everything else in this video, remember, DC 5054 gives you 1 year at 100% starting the day of surgery. A guaranteed 30% floor follows after convalescence, and the opposite hip can be claimed as a secondary through the altered gate mechanism. ADA, VAD, file before surgery and do not walk away from the bilateral factor. Drop in the comments. Did you know that hip replacement was rateable as secondary to a knee or back condition? Okay, it is quiz time. Let's find out what stuck. Think through each question carefully before you answer.
Hit like if the content is landing, and subscribe to stay locked in.
Under diagnostic code 5054, how long does a veteran receive the temporary 100% rating after a total hip replacement? The correct answer is A. 1 year from the date of surgery, after which the VA evaluates residual symptoms and assigns a permanent rating of at least 30%.
Under what regulatory authority can a veteran claim the opposite hip as a secondary service connected condition after a hip replacement? The correct answer is D. 38 CFR 3.310, which allows service connection for conditions caused or aggravated by an already service-connected disability.
when both host-based intrusion prevention system are service-connected and rated. What additional benefit does the bilateral factor provide under 38 CFR 4.68? The correct answer is D. N. An additional 10% is added to the combined rating value before the final whole number is calculated. Today's core takeaway, DC 5054, runs the same playbook as the knee replacement code. 1 year at 100% from the day of surgery, a guaranteed 30% floor after convalescence, and a secondary claim pathway for the opposite hip through the altered gate chain.
3 years from now, you will look back on the decision to file that secondary hip claim as one of the most valuable moves of your post-service life. The math adds up fast when both host-based intrusion prevention system are rated and the bilateral factor is applied.
Next episode, the one shoulder condition where two completely different diagnostic codes can apply to the same injury, and why choosing the wrong one costs veterans hundreds of dollars per month.
Tubbly. Subscribe so you do not miss that one. Tears. The shoulder episode is one of the most practically useful in this entire orthopedic series.
Don't forget to like. For Professor Erica and the whole panel, we are signing off. See you next episode.